Hey, Bob Nolan here with provocations out the wazoo, but expressed ever so politely and humbly. Some of God's greatest heroes had episodes at sea, you think, without a clue about where they were going. Probably couldn't even tell you where they were at the time. Noah is the first one that comes to mind. He was in God's way in the sea, if anybody was. No sail, no rudder, no engine, no compass, but God got him to where he needed to go. How about Jonah? He took, shall we call it, an ill-advised trip to sea, and God got him to Nineveh the hard way. How about 72 hours in the belly of a big fish, with gastric juices covering your whole body, being cooked? Recently, I had a non-stop 1 hour and 45-minute time in an MRI tube. I can't imagine 72 hours of total confinement like that. And one day Jesus comes walking on the Sea of Galilee in the middle of the night even. Our friend Peter says, "Lord, is that you? If that's you, tell me to come out there with you." That was a great prayer. He was in God's way in the sea. And he did great until he began to see the sea. Ha ha ha. And then he was sunk. Literally. Jesus, help! When you're out in the troubled waters, take it from me, it's hard not to look at the waters, like all the preachers say. You know, I think this provoker might be more for me than for you. But if you're out there right now, don't assume that you're out there because you're stupid or you're in sin or you blew it. Peter was out there because he asked for it. Jesus told him to come out there. Some of God's best heroes, not just in the Bible, but ordinaries like us, have had to spend some uncomfortable time learning to navigate out on God's way in the sea. Yep. On troubled waters. A number of times I've prayed, "Lord, show me the way." But instead of showing me the way, he said, "Nah, just do a little bit of listening with a little bit of obedience, and you'll find yourself on the right way." Ask me if that's what I wanted to hear at the time. Sailors have had to learn how to read the stars for directions. I mean, that's if they don't have GPS. Followers of the Lord learn to track what we call the bright and morning star. In fact, Jesus' little brother Jude, who wrote that little epistle, warned us about following false teachers and false prophets and false enamoring stuff. Know what he called them? Raging waves of the sea and wandering stars. Raging waves and wandering stars may look powerful, be very persuasive, but they might not lead you to the destiny and will that God has for you. Jesus is, I hope this doesn't sound too corny, the bright star that will lead you in God's way on the sea. Look at the star. Look to Jesus. That's what the heroes did. Sometimes the only way to get to where you're supposed to go is to start with tiny little obediences, tiny little responses, like little navigational changes. Or maybe all you get to do is float like Noah and watch God, your dad, do his magic with no help from you. Or what if you ask God what to do and heavens to Murgatroyd, he actually spoke to you? What if in the next 24 hours was filled with listening to your heavenly dad and just a tiny bit of obedience? What would your day look like? What would your next day look like? God has said that sometimes if you're going to walk with him, he'll take you on some unusual, unexpected journeys. The voyage can be very unfamiliar. Yep, like being out at sea. Really, we're all control freaks at heart. It's part of human nature. I mean, do you know anyone, and that would be me, who likes being out of control? The training is difficult to learn to navigate through the great waters. To learn to read the compass, stuff like God's Word and fellowship with him and the star of his person. God's greatest heroes were and are people who respond to God even in the face of losing control of stuff. These men of whom the world was not worthy and are not worthy have decided to follow the Lord wherever he goes, to put their destinies in his trustworthy hands. It's not that we don't want to reach our goals or they don't want to reach their goals and purposes and destinies and all the good stuff. It's just that we've decided to trust the Lord with all our heart. and not lean on our topographical maps, if you know what I mean. Bob Nolan here, Thought Provokers. God bless you. Thanks for letting me express these little thoughts to you. You take care.